Everybody in our family trains a little bit differently. That's one of the reasons we like to say there are hundreds of methods, but only a handful of principles. The methods are just how you apply the principle. Take pressure release, for example. Almost every trainer uses pressure and release in some form. The principle stays the same. Apply pressure, find the right answer, release. Same thing goes for make the right thing easy and the wrong thing hard. Each trainer might use different techniques to make the wrong thing hard. The method changes, the principle doesn't. That's why we consider our training principle based rather than method based. When Eldorado first got here, I wanted to see what he knew before I started teaching him anything new. And for me, that starts in the round pen. I like to work a horse off the line first. It tells me a lot. Can I move their feet easily? Will they pay attention to me? Or are they more interested in the horses on the outside of the pen? Do they move the same both directions? Do they understand changing directions? When I apply pressure, do they respond appropriately or get defensive? And if a horse does have an issue, I'd rather discover it with 30 feet between us rather than hanging onto a lead rope trying to defend my personal space. I also kind of like to see how they're going to respond to my energy. If I don't give them any energy and stand calmly, will they do the same? If I increase my energy quickly, how will they respond? Scared or just move? The round pen gives me information without creating unnecessary conflict. As it turns out, Eldorado is pretty true to his name. He's pretty golden. Sure, he spent a little time looking at the other horses, but it was obvious this wasn't his first time being worked. He understood how to move around the pen. He understood direction. He wasn't particularly energetic, but he wasn't dull either. And he definitely wasn't aggressive when pressure was applied. He just tried to figure out what the answer was. That's a quality I appreciate. And with a little encouragement, he even showed some draw. Draw is simply a horse wanting to come back to you instead of away from you. It's one of those things that's hard to fake. A horse either sees value in being with you or they don't. The fact that Eldorado was already showing some draw told me catching him in the big pasture wasn't going to be that much of a chore. By the end of the first session, I hadn't taught him much, but I'd learned quite a bit about him. And what I was learning, I liked. Once a horse starts showing me that they know what they're doing, I like to push their buttons a little. Not in a mean way. I just start changing the questions. Can I get them to back up without touching them? Can I move their hips? Can I move their shoulders? Can I bring them into a smaller circle? Can I change the directions with less and less pressure? At that point, I'm less concerned about teaching and more interested to see how much understanding is already in there. A horse that's knowledgeable and paying attention is fun, and you can start having conversations instead of giving instructions. Sometimes you ask for one thing and they offer something more advanced because you've seen the question before. That's when training gets enjoyable. Instead of dragging a horse through a lesson, you're exploring what they already know and how they think. He has some opinions that sometimes conflict with mine, but he's not a dangerous horse by any means.